have a very traditional history. They are warriors and they go to the battlefield either to win the war or to die.
What no one actually knew at the time was that the war would end before their contracts had expired, and the only ones left behind were the Chinese.
They fought a war that was not even their war. So why do we not talk about it in the history? The young people, they have to know what happened.
On the 28th of June 1914, Archduke Franz Ferdinand from Austria is assassinated, starting World War I. 5 weeks later, the Germans invade Flanders, bringing the war to our doorstep. It was to be the last great war to end all wars. Unfortunately, this prediction turns out to be false. The 4-year war in trenches, mud and in utter deprivation unveils. Not only Europeans take part in the war, but also soldiers from across the globe. Almost 1 million non-Europeans from 50 different nations make the Westhoek their new home. Most soldiers on both the Allied and the German side are very young. 100 years later, we took a group of expat youngsters on a tour to those historical sites to see what they thought.
Imagine this would be how close you would basically see into the enemy's eye, the German bunkers with the Belgian trenches.
Yeah.
I mean, you want a victory, you don't want to be fight for your country.
Killed, yeah.
If you were a Belgian soldier in the trenches, what would you do?
If I were a Belgian soldier, I probably wouldn't find myself in the trenches. I'd join the artillery sector, where you're much farther behind,
back in the second line,
and fire in the first line. What would you do?
It's the same.
The great European powers count on their colonial troops to assist in battle. The British, for example, create the United Indian Army with a huge number of Sikhs known for their bravery. Unfortunately, they also underestimate the horrors of the Westhoek.
Our family name is Singh. That means lion. And we are warriors. We are warrior race from whole of India.
It was a military tradition to recruit Sikhs from many decades before the First World War. Actually, the British towards the end of the 19th century had established a military theory which was called the martial races theory, stating that some ethnic groups in India were more warrior-like than others. And actually they were among the first to arrive here just after the first Battle of Ypres started. They were already here.
In the First World War, 80,482 British Indian soldiers died for the freedom of mankind. And nearly half of them were the Sikhs.
The officers would speak Punjabi, would speak their language, would know their habits, would know their customs and so on, but it still was a very paternalistic attitude they had towards the Sikhs.
Sikhs have a very traditional history and they go to the battlefield either to win the war or to die.
Usually these, they have not been identified, so they do not know the religion or they do not know for sure. But I think that if you have so many anonymous as here, at least some of them must have been from the Sikh troops.
Yeah, because the name of a Sikh soldier is written down here,
Yeah.
and the other graves are also besides him.
Yes.
So we are sure, we have the feeling
Yeah.
that all these graves are from the Sikh soldier. These are heroes of that time. They have died for us so that we can have our future, better future. And we'll now live with dignity, honor, and with pride.
Hearing the Sikh story, how would a young Indian react 100 years later?
To be seen as a warrior is to be seen as a very high-class person who's gone to fight honorably. To be honest, I can't imagine doing that. I can't imagine going off to fight as I am now. And yeah, I think it's incredible, everything that they did. If they weren't there, some battles wouldn't have been won, and everything would have ended up differently.